Hello, and welcome to the Universes Academy podcast. I am your host, Matt Childress, and with me is assistant to the host, Mr. Chris Smith. How we doing, man?
I'm fantastic. How are you today, Matt?
I'm doing well. I'm trying to lean in a little closer and project a little bit more because I was told that it was difficult to hear me at times on
Uh,
some
I
previous episodes. So,
I also was it was brought to my attention that I was yelling last episode, so
oh,
I have to
dude,
keep my volume down. I apologize because I
keep
got
the hype
excited
levels
about it.
down.
I know. I got excited about things, so I can't yell as much because Kim was like, "You were yelling the entire time." And I thought about it, and I'm like, "Oh man, I probably made Matt go deaf." And then people at home, we also heard that I was really loud compared to you. So
Yeah,
I'm gonna
yeah.
try to I'm gonna try to not ASMR this stuff, but I'm not also gonna try to shoutcast it.
Dude, it's
So
funny you
we're just
mentioned
gonna
ASMR. So that
yeah
is something that was
yeah
completely foreign to me until getting married, and I
yeah
cannot listen to it. Like to me, it sounds like someone speaking
yeah
in tongues, like devil sounds.
yeah
It's terrifying to me.
yeah
I'm like, this is crazy. I
yeah
can't listen to this. How does this
yeah.
soothe people?
yeah.
But apparently, it
Uh,
does.
It just does. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, we're I think it's been a good holiday season for us because we talked pregame personally, and I think in the UVS season right now in the downtime we've had a couple webcam events. We have the art reveals
Yeah.
for Bebop in full swing.
Mm-hmm.
Send me all your fate altars, people. I will love you forever. Um, so we've been seeing some cool stuff, even though they've been kind of quiet on the news front. I guess. I guess we can open up with some news and stuff. But the alt arts have been rolling. They did a couple
Right.
cards on Christmas, which were really cool. It was an asset and I think an action,
Mm.
which is
Yeah,
kind
the
of
one
cool.
from
So
each.
yeah, and they also were. I was on Jacob Master's podcast, Friends and Rivals, later that evening after I
Mhm.
streamed a bunch of games.
Yeah.
Um, they have rarities on them, which is really weird for a starter deck type thing. Yeah, it was really
Huh.
odd. So maybe it's for the booster collection pack where it needs to have
Probably.
just because it has to be sorted into a certain like I
Right.
guess part on the I guess on the sheet it has to be put somewhere, so they have to delineate where this is a common, this is an uncommon, this is a
Right.
rare, yada
Or if
yada
the pack
yada.
comes with
Yeah,
like three uncommons, then it has to come with three
yeah,
uncommons. So you have to put the cards that would
yeah,
be in that slot. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense.
yeah,
But like,
exactly.
um,
So yeah.
yeah, I'll be interested to see how those products do. Like I
Mhm.
think they'll be fine, right? Because to me, the way
Yeah,
I view them is they're just the new DLC,
yeah,
except for you're getting actually like a deck and it's playable, versus just getting two copies of each card and it being like eight different cards, you know? So better
mhm,
bang for your buck, bare minimum, right? The
yeah,
thing that I don't, and I said this, earlier in the year when they announced them, is I don't think it reaches the target objective of like stemming the tide of already established players from buying your starter decks, which is what the original
yeah,
pitch was, right? And I was just
yeah.
like,
I don't. Which is really it was like that Jackie Chan thing. It was like
right,
why people
yeah,
who listen to the audio cast, I'm doing the Jackie Chan meme head hurt thing.
yeah.
Um, but like
But I think it'll be a
because it's
great
still
product otherwise. Like,
yeah, I agree with you completely, but I think the issue is we still have no idea if we need one or two. Because I'm gonna go out on the limb and say we're probably gonna need two to get
hmm,
a full set, which is I guess is fine.
yeah,
Which is kind of cool because Jacob Master came up with I think it was Jacob who came up with this idea. We won't know until like the content creators open them up and start doing their videos and stuff like that. But if
right,
you think about the deck themselves, because we had the critical role misprint on one of the characters that had like an attack that worked for both characters. It had a Vex response and a Vax enhance or something.
hmm,
So he is prognosticating this
hmm,
that you have a 60 card deck. 20 cards work with one character, 20 cards work with another, and then there's a third that works with both the characters. So you will need two of them to make a full deck to combine the card. Like you'll need like two Cowboy Bebop ones to make a full like there'll be like three spike cards instead of four.
hmm.
So you'll need to buy another one. If you want to play a 60 card deck, you'll need the other 20 from another deck to smash into the one. You know,
I
you
think
you see what I'm
no, I
saying?
understand what you're trying to describe, but I don't think
Yeah.
that's the case. Like,
Yeah.
I think what
Yeah.
they may have like you're saying like they share symbols amongst the characters, don't they? Like we've seen that,
Yeah.
like they share at
Yeah.
least one
Yeah.
symbol. So like
Yep.
it might just be if you want to play it off of a different symbol, you need
Yeah.
to buy another copy of it to flesh it out. But like
Flesh it out.
yeah,
Yeah.
like if you buy 60 card, a product advertised as a 60 card deck that you can pick up and play.
Yeah.
You can't actually pick up and play it. That would be like
well,
the
you would
worst thing
still
ever,
be
right?
you would still be able to play it because they still share the one symbol. So
Right.
but
That's
it
what I'm saying.
wouldn't
Like,
be
as long as they
yeah
share the one symbol, then
yeah
then that's what I'm saying. Like, his theory only works if they don't share a symbol, right? It's like, hey, I can play 40 of these 60 cards, but the other 20
yeah.
don't share any symbols with my character, so I don't
Well,
actually have a deck that I can play.
Well, the 20 that only shares the one symbol. So let's take Spike. Like, they share water, right? So
Sure.
the water only cards for the Spike deck use the Fey cards. But like, you could take those out and throw the other 20 Spike cards in from another deck. It would be more efficient, is what I think he was getting to.
Yeah.
So like,
it'd be like more focused on whatever his theme
Yeah.
is versus hers. Yeah,
Exactly.
Well, and
So,
mechanically, they clearly try to like design them so that they're similar enough. And and
they
like I
have
said, it'll be
flips and
interesting to
stuff,
see how they stick the landing on these products, right? And to your point, like, we just don't
Yeah.
know yet.
I
But
agree.
like, we
Yep.
know we're
I
getting
agree.
a bunch of this product over the course of the year, and let's hope that it is good, right? Like, because if not, they're kind of like really going all in on it for this year, where it's like we're getting what, like 8 of these things.
Yes.
So
Yes.
like,
8.
if you're getting 8 individual, decks for these things, they got to be good. They got to be worth that $30 price tag. And
Yeah, I
think
hope so. Jesus.
yeah, I think that foil booster pack thing inside of it is a cool idea. I just again, like, it's like we were talking about before. Like, I just don't think that adds enough to enough people.
Value.
Like, there are collectors, and maybe you're gonna crack some crazy pack, and you're gonna profit off buying this $30 scratch off at that point, right? Like, that could happen.
Yeah.
But it is a nice, if you view it as I'm buying this to try to make money off of it, it's probably not a great product. But if you're viewing it as, hey, I'm just getting a deck and then I got some bonus shiny cards that I can trade or I can do whatever to kind of finish out my deck, I think it's great.
Yeah,
and
exactly. I agree with you completely.
And so I'll be interested to see. Looking forward to getting our hands on those here in a few weeks. And I don't know, man. I mean, like you said, it's been a good holiday season though. Like, I feel like, to your point, the news, like, they threw a lot of news, and we kind of recapped it in the last episode. So if you haven't already watched that, definitely go back and listen to that and watch it. But
there's a card somewhere.
There's a card somewhere. I'll learn how to do that, and it'll be there. I'll just do I'm just flicking off my filter now, so my peas are gonna be popping.
You pop it.
But yeah, like, I mean, I think they kind of gave us everything, because they even said they were going to be gone for like through the new year or whatever. So no one's there doing anything. No one's checking anything. Like, you send an emails, they're going to someone's inbox to wait. So
Discord's burning down while everyone's on holiday. You know how
Lenoco deserves time off too. All right.
I assume. I actually do, because Tuesday everyone's going to be screaming for the ban and errata list, which will be Wednesday because the holiday's on Monday. But I really don't think we're going to see anything, because we had an the last one we had was such a bomb. There's no reason to even do anything, because
what would people even be looking at right now outside of Giro 1? Exactly. Outside of Giro.
Actually, outside of Giro would be like, I don't know. It'd be like out of left field if they banned stuff in this next one, because we've had one event.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to say. Like, look at how.
And then they banned it. Then they banned crap after that event. So why would they even do anything in January? Is my opinion.
Right.
My question.
They've gone and they've been very intentional with using the information they have, and very targeted in their bannings all along. But in particular in this last go round. So with that, there's no way. Like, if something gets banned in January, it is like the most vengeful ban of all time. It's like, you know what? I really just hated Moneta too.
You got it. Yeah. Bang, bang, bang. Yeah. Oh, you got it. You got it. If it's out of left field, if they do anything. So, like, I don't expect a whole lot of news. I expect art reveals, and then the week after is content. Is that Friday the 12th is when the content creators can start doing their box openings for the Challenger Series decks. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see previews starting for them when they come back. I think that would be what we're going to see for the most part. So I don't expect much else other than, hey, there's nothing to be banned and errated because you got an emergency one in the middle of December.
Right. We already fixed the meta. We're letting it shake out.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
There's no reason to touch it.
Changing the rules of the game as well. Going into the new year, so we got to see how that's going to impact things.
Yeah.
Like, there's no
unless
way.
unless the webcam event, which is coming up, which we'll I guess touch on before we
Mhm.
go into our main topic,
Yeah.
on the 6th of January is the last winter warm-up event.
Mhm.
So unless something out of left field got really great with 60 adding 10 cards to the deck and banning Capture Evildoers, and banning Back Alley Haymaker,
Yeah.
which killed all good punch decks. So thanks if you wanted if you were a big hater of good punch decks, I guess you got your fill. Now we just moved to life,
So,
but we're still sad because we don't have Back Alley.
so here's my question for you.
Yeah,
What
yeah, go ahead.
what do you think right now is or not is what are the big bad decks right now that you've seen or that you feel are in the meta? Like I'll start the ball rolling. I think Jiro One is
Yeah, go
one of the
ahead.
big bad decks, right? Like that deck is
Oh
never
yeah,
good, it's never
easy,
not good, and it's still
easy,
very good.
easy. Yeah, I would say Earth dot deck, just
Hmm.
Earth good stuff, like either off of Overhaul or Mountain. Like okay, so like people like Mountain Lady 2.
Hmm.
Even though I'm a huge Mountain Lady 2 fan, I think that character is really good.
Hmm.
I just think she just needs like it's a defensive piece. I think that she. But I think she can play it. But anyway, but Earth dot deck, just like you slap a character on top of Earth good stuff,
Hmm.
and I didn't hate using that term, but
Yeah, I
like
mean that's
generically good Earth cards like Canyon Cannon, Bad Guy Roundup, Overhaul playing Maximum Overdrive, because
mhm,
I like calling it Maximum Overdrive or
right.
no Maximum Laser or whatever. But like
Cam Newton.
I honestly don't know. Like if someone screams that like Tokiyami, I think he took a step back a
Mhm.
bit, but that's just
Well,
me.
so here's kind of
Because
my follow up to that though.
you
Like,
know,
and the
yeah,
reason
go
this
ahead.
is like 60 card deck change. That's a big
Yeah,
change. That's 10 more
yeah,
cards. Do you think
yeah.
that helps or hurts the
Those decks like
format
of the
or
aggro.
decks? So I think it impacts decks differently,
Um,
right? Like,
I think, I think me and Ben Lambright were talking about that in our local chat about adding 10 cards really only adds like 8 to 10% on variance
hmm
because you're adding like 10% more to your deck, right? So
hmm
it's going to take your consistency down 8 to 10% depending on how much what your
well,
quantities are.
it's
I
like
don't know.
20%
I'm not
more
a
from a 50
yeah,
card deck to 60. Yeah.
I'm not a math person, so I
Hmm.
can't help you on the numbers.
Yeah.
But it's gonna hurt it, but in a way it's not a whole lot. But it
Sure.
allows people to play more things that could help you. It's kind of weird. Like you get to play more pieces that can help you stop the turn two blow up, but the turn two blow up isn't gonna help as isn't gonna factor in as much because I'm in the mind where if you get blown up on turn two, like 3 out of 10 games, I mean, that's okay because
Mhm.
it's like they got like the God Hand or
Sure.
whatever. Like
Sure.
I've murked people with Mount Lady from full from 27, 28 with 4 attacks on turn two because I checked fives and whatever.
Check five, take
But
lives. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, I
Never
mean it
always.
happens. It happens, and then like sometimes it happens. It just happens
Yeah.
sometimes where
That's
you're
the
just like,
game.
cool. I built five, drew 6 attacks. Can you block 30 damage of the last 3 attacks? I don't think you can, so I win.
Yeah. I got you, bro.
But
Yeah.
but like
So,
it's like 3 out of 10 isn't terrible. I don't
right.
think so.
So
You know.
if I were going to make speculations based off of historical experiences with the
Yeah.
game, right? Because we
Yep.
had 60 card minimums before. It was 59 plus
Yep.
characters, so it was 60 card
Yep.
minimum. It should slow the game down a turn or two, just because even if you keep your proportions the same, right? Like if you're running
Sure.
18 and then your attacks, and then you're running, your 36 non-attack cards, and then now you bump it up to 20 and 40, your proportions are still the same, so you should still check or draw an attack
Yeah.
every third card or whatever. Like that doesn't change. But to your point, what will happen, and even in my own experience recently, trying to bump my decks up to 60, I get to take a lot of the sideboard tech pieces that I would have been putting there, or
Man.
cards that I was running like two or three of, and I can bump those up
Yeah.
to three or four, or I can bring in some of those sideboards cards, And
Mhm.
what that's going to do then, right, is that means that your deck now has more options in the main board. And then even further from a meta standpoint, now we have still have 10 more in the side. So like now you can like cards before where you were like, I just don't know. Like this is good in one matchup,
Yep.
but this other card's good in like four
Mhm.
matchups. I'm gonna take the one that's in four. Well, now you might just have space for that other one. So I
Correct.
speculate that decks that are like the sellout aggro turn two type decks that are trying to play, those are going to be less consistent. Just
Yeah,
because,
I agree.
like, I think now that being said, I think if a deck like a Mirio, like the sellout aggro Mirio deck, where you're just drawing a billion cards, like the value of card draw continues to be very high, right? Because
Right.
hey, I
Yeah.
just need to get through this pile of cards quicker.
Hmm.
And even further, like decks maybe like a Tokiyami or whatever, or decks that want to mill themselves, that want something in their graveyard or in their discard, like those decks have a little bit more time, right? Like before they cycle,
Yeah.
because it's 10 more cards naturally in their deck. Some of those decks were
Yeah.
already running 60 plus anyway, so it won't really change that performance. But I
Hmm.
don't know, like
Hmm.
that to me is like the most interesting thing going into this weekend is the new deck size changes, because that
Yeah.
happens immediately. Unlike, say, rotation, which doesn't happen until
Which is
UU comes out.
yeah, February 23rd. Yeah.
Yeah. So like, given that, it's like, what decks are going to be able to really take advantage of the new size, or how are people going to adjust
Yeah.
to it, or like, I don't know, like that's what I'm interested to see in the event this weekend,
Hmm.
because again, like we used to have 60 card decks, it's not going to be that big a deal, but like, I had the opposite problem when MHA first started, which was like, how do I cut down to like 51? Like building a 51 card deck was like so
I
hard.
I never went lower than I went 53 what? Well, I mean, to
Yeah.
be fair, I played Rappa at Nats, so he was 52.
Right.
But I mean, normally my decks were 57 to 63 normally because I was playing all my 3 and I can draw a million cards.
Right.
So you can play more cards if you drew more cards. That's usually the thought,
Right.
So but I'm really interested to see like when you mentioned putting your sideboard pieces into your main board because we have like and that was one of my biggest things, always me preaching, because I hate 50 card aggro, even though I played Rappa and love that deck because it's so much fun.
Right.
Was like, I want a 60 card minimum so I can play all these cool cards that I want to play in my main deck that I have to play in my sideboard, because I have to keep my deck minimum as close as like thin as
Yeah,
possible
you
so
want
I
it
can see my
lean,
pieces.
right?
You wanted it lean. You like, but even though like 62 wasn't really like, you were, let's say all my 3, you're an 8-hander. You were going through like 12, 13 cards a turn cycle
Sure.
or whatever. So it wasn't really that big of a deal playing over 60 cards, but like it was just kind of weird. And now, like over this weekend, I got to play some practice games against a buddy, our Patreon Jazzy, his Tokiyami deck, and it
Yeah.
was like 62 or whatever. And the bird can still kill on turn 2 if he draws the hand. Like I
Right.
died. I died on turn 2. He went Azure, blue, Azure, blue, Azure, blue. I died. So I'm just like, neat. That still works, Like
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
sometimes sometimes it happens,
Right.
but it did feel like it was a little more fair.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, like what should
It did.
happen, like don't
Yeah.
like, and I'm saying this just for those of you who've never played with 60 before, like don't just slam in more attacks and call it a day.
Yeah.
Like maybe you can get by with that every now and then, but like you're gonna be better off just scaling your deck up, adding in, like I said, maybe some of the sideboard pieces. Like I was updating a list and I was like, hey, you know what? I got a couple extra slots. I'm gonna throw in this action that otherwise I might not have ran. So I think you're gonna see that kind of impact, right? Where people are going to
Yeah.
have to learn to play into some things that otherwise they might have been able to dodge, because they're trying
Yeah.
to keep their decks lean. Because now keeping it lean means you still got that extra 10 cards. So I don't
Yeah,
know.
like
I'm excited to see it.
it was really interesting because like I'm gonna allude back to yesterday's games where I brought in learning the standards out of my side, and he had no idea how to fight that, like because he had never, like he's fought it before, but it's just like I have no idea what to do with my hand against this. And I
Right.
go, this is where you would need irrefutable force of nature. And he has a transformational sideboard, so he doesn't have irrefutable on his deck. He doesn't even have it in the main board because he's playing some other pieces. And I go, well, to be fair, like he likes the transformational sideboard as like a curveball in
Sure.
his matchup. So I'm like, well, why don't you just take out this one card that doesn't really help you because you don't care about what this card actually stops. You play one there, play one in your side, and then you can always bring it in, or you can flip flop and just see how it feels. Because if you have irrefutable, you kill me that turn because
Right.
I can't learning. So and that
Right.
was the thing. And then we were working off of that, and I think that's cool. That's where the 60 card new min helps out. It's like, cool, I can play more irrefutables. I can play more learning the standards main
That's
board.
right.
I can do all that cool stuff.
You can do Tim Keefe solid to just slam more irrefutables into your deck.
Yeah.
Dude, so
Or
it's funny
snipe,
you mentioned
maybe.
learning the standards coming in from the board. That is a card that, like, I think that card is awesome. And I still kept it in my board as well, and I have it in my
Yeah.
board for my Void Bakugo list. And I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, I
Yep.
think bringing it in, because in some matchups that card's a
Yep.
blowout, right? In other
Yep.
matchups, the
Uh-huh.
card is meh, because like they
Yeah.
want to poke you or they want to do other things like that, and they're just baiting you to use it. So
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see. I may end up just having to bring it into the board. Maybe do some more,
Yeah.
because that's the other cool thing about it is now, like, I referenced like bumping up copies earlier. Like now you can also kind of just bring in a couple extra like 1 or 2 X's, and then just have
Mm-hmm.
the other ones in your board still, and still stay in that
Correct.
60 range. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Like
Yep.
that's the thing that I'm excited about for this weekend, is definitely seeing the deck list and seeing what ends up working
Mm-hmm.
out, and what doesn't, because I don't think. And I can't think of any one character outside of Jiro that I think is just like categorically like, this deck is, if you can't go 50-50 with this deck, you just shouldn't show up, right?
Yeah.
I think there's just a
Yeah.
lot of really good decks. Like even playing in the online events, over the past month, I've played against a lot of set 6 characters. So I would say if you're playing a set 6 character, you're probably on the right
Pretty
path.
good.
Yeah, you're probably
Yeah.
on the right
Yeah.
path
Yeah.
to being
Exactly.
successful.
Yeah.
But like
Yeah.
that being said, we still had non-set 6 characters topping.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's just a lot of good options right now.
Yeah.
And
Oh yeah, I agree.
since the bannings in particular, there is no clear cut like, oh, this deck is a problem, we're gonna just play this deck forever, because Jiro is
no,
really good.
yeah. There's one problem, and her name is Jiro.
Yeah,
That's
Jiro
the
is
only
really
problem.
good,
Yeah.
but there are
Yeah.
things that can
Yeah.
deal with her, right? So like,
Yes, correct. Yeah.
like even the new Best Genus Foundation, that lets you pop after an attack is played, so its damage can't be modified. Sure, it responds at the same speed that she does, and she gets priority, but like if she doesn't have that, or she doesn't use that, then you're like, cool, this attack doesn't
Yeah.
go anywhere. Like there's other things that can
Like
interact with her gimmick,
like
and what
that.
she does.
That's a blow on a sound waves, right?
Yeah,
Like they have to respond. Like if they do the stack and draw first. Oh man, like vast strength just blows that card out, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you can off of all, you can play both of them, and you just blow her out on one of those, because she has to pick: do I want
Right.
the stack and draw, or do I want the damage, because I'm not getting both?
right.
Because vast strength will blanket, or pro here. It's always cool will be, you
Yeah.
can't modify the damage, lady. So
Right.
actually, yeah, the all symbol may be in a good spot right now against certain decks in the meta that we maybe didn't think about, because it all has not been on my symbol, my radar at all, because I just can't find a character to put on it, and that's my issue. Maybe
Yeah.
it is someone like a best genist or something, because he also puts -2/-2 on that second hit of hers.
Yeah.
So so
That's what I'm saying. Like I think all the symbols
Yeah.
are pretty viable at the moment.
Yeah.
All right, man. So that's kind of our I guess excitement for the new meta, right? Where we may or may not be going,
excitement,
what
yeah.
may or may not be good. Like, and this thing, I do think it's wide open. So we'll see. Hopefully, between these online events, we can kind of start to see some sort of meta forming. The band in between kind of mix things up. But main topic for today. It's the end of the year, so we got to do what everybody does. Got to look back and look forward, but got to look back.
Yeah.
That's the main thing that everyone always does at the end of the year is you look back and see, what have we done? How has it been? Was it good? Should I do more? So let's kind of go through some props and slops for the year.
Sure.
Let's start with ourselves, and then we can segue into.
Oh wow! Oh wow!
Other
Weird.
things. So I'm
Okay,
saying,
cool.
like, not too personal, but I'm saying as ourselves as far as the
Oh, yeah,
game is
yeah.
concerned.
Game
Let's clarify.
concern? Fair. I mean, like, I got a promotion this year, so I propped that. So
Yeah, dog.
yeah, and
I
you
bought a
and you
house
moved.
and all that other
You
stuff.
bought a
Yeah.
house. You did adulting things.
I did lots of adulting things.
I mean, yeah, adulting things was great. So,
yeah.
but yeah, I would say game wise so far. I don't know. I'm not personally. I would say. Yeah, you go first because I have
Sure.
to think about it.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I'm going to talk about like us as Universes Academy and us
Oh,
as
yeah.
individuals. So
Yeah.
I think props. While we haven't been as consistent as I would like to be, I think given all the things that have happened over the course of the year, we've done a pretty good job of staying on top of it. I still need to update, slops here. I need to update the site. I need to post some of the audio tracks to the podcast. I know, guys. All right.
Yeah.
It will happen eventually, probably, maybe. But
It
you know,
should,
like,
because Kevin Broberg somewhere is screaming to the heavens. Why isn't this?
Mac.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mac.
that's
Yeah.
and yeah, so I mean, like, I think that's great. And then
Yeah.
like we launched our Patreon, and thank you
Yep.
to our patrons. And did a cool video series leading up to Nats. That we kind
Yep.
of tag teamed. We've done some other cool things, I think, with the content that we're creating and putting out into the game. Yeah, I'm proud of that, and I think we deserve props for
Same.
that. So
Yeah.
thank you for your help, and of course, support through that, and thank you to our followers and friends and everyone who helps us with that. So we do it for you
Yeah,
guys, and just because we like talking about cards. So
yeah.
Because we're big nerds.
yeah, totally.
Um, I would say props to you for leading us through the year and being a fantastic sensei, as
Oh,
you are the UA sensei
hey.
across the board. You
Well,
know,
thank you. I try, man. I just want to
yeah,
share knowledge. That's all I ever really want to
yeah,
do,
I know, I
and
know. It's the
help.
teach. It's the
Yeah.
teacher in you. That's what it is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, like
You,
legitimately want to help, right? Like, and if you ever come to
yeah.
our Discord, guys, like that is the objective, right? Like we talk about a lot of
Yeah.
stuff, but like anytime you post decks or anytime we're shopping, it's not like I always hated. I'm just gonna be full disclosure. I always hated when people would be like, "No, I'm not gonna tell you about this thing. Like I have this deck. I'm not gonna tell." I'm like, that's so dumb.
Yeah.
Like I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Like I can say from personal experience, even the decks that I had that were good, when I brought them to other people who were also good at the game, they were like, "Oh, hey, why don't you do this instead of this?" And I'm like, "Oh, that's a good call,"
That's a better call.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Like
100%. Yeah,
I. Yeah, I had that. I had that inclination just this past week with my Mountain Lady 2 deck, and I was trying
yeah,
to figure out what to put in for Lurker Strike, and everyone was like, "Hey, you know what's really good? Bad Guy Roundup." And I'm just like,
yeah.
"Oh, you are correct because it auto draws a card most of the time, and that's all I wanted was to cantrip on my attacks because I don't
Yep.
because Earth can't draw cards worth shit."
Nope.
So no, so it's really good to have a nice community, and and it's like I think it's not even just ours too. There's a lot like Andrew's community on his Discord
Oh
is
yeah.
also the same thing. Like a lot of people like I guess I'm gonna take a step and say props to a lot of other content creators because they've also
Beat me
opened
to it.
up like their Discords to people,
Yeah.
and they're cultivating really good communities in there. Like I'm only in a few, but I know of a few others that are out there, and people are. I just like keeping my Discord tabs small. I like
Right.
keeping things really tight and
Right.
not have to scroll through 8 of them or 10 of them. It's the old man in me, but yeah, like it seems like the community is really like the content creators specifically have really stepped it up this year. We got a slew of new ones,
Right.
and it's really cool to see that. Like, Let's Talk UVS, Cameron Undergust, the UVS Hermit is his name is his channel's called. He's finally taken the step into content creation after being our #1 fan for so long,
Whoop,
and I'm just
whoop.
like super excited for him to get into the game. So that's really cool. And like Travis. My buddy TNT Tangerman, he got back into it too. He came back, and after a while, after a short hiatus, like people are starting to just really put their name out there and their opinions. And whether it be right or wrong, it's always good to see things from a different point of view, like different angle. Like maybe
Yeah.
you don't play cards. No one plays cards the same way because if we did, the game would be boring.
Right.
So
Yeah. And
yeah.
to
So
your point, like,
props to those people.
yeah, I
So
second that. I mean, like, and I think a lot of it, to your point, is like it's not just the content creators, but like it's giving people an opportunity, a place to gather and share those sort of things, right? Because like if you just go to the main chord for this game, sometimes you're gonna feel like, man, things are kind of doom and gloom, and it's kind of all negative. But then you go into these other communities, these other subsets of the community, and it's like, oh no, it's a really positive and good experience, which is normally what you'll have if you go to an event as well, right? Like
yeah,
people love the
exactly.
community in
Yeah.
person. It's just
Yep.
something about, hey, internet plus autonomy equals jerk, right? Like,
Yeah.
so like I think
Plus
that's kind of the
know it
problem
all.
with it. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's kind of the problem
Yeah.
sometimes in main chord. But yes, I have personally, started trying to watch some of the other content creators' videos and just see what other kind of stuff's out there.
Yep.
And even further, it's people doing really cool and new, unique things that hadn't been done before, right? Whether that's like that winter tournament that Let's Talk and Tam did, or whether
Yeah.
it's going and just releasing new types of videos. Like I saw
Yeah.
one video just kind of like talking about like, hey man, like this deck's not good, but it's fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
like that's cool,
Yeah. Yeah.
I can
Exactly.
get in,
Yeah.
on that. So yeah, absolutely, props to everyone there. Anything else content creation wise or individual wise? I think from a play standpoint, I have not done as well as I've wanted
Yeah.
to, but I
Okay.
also have not gotten. I didn't get to play as much. Like
I
that
think
was kind of the
I
trade
think
off
you have
there.
to I think you have to slop real life problems for that one.
Right,
That's
right, right. Yeah,
slops for
yeah,
Unreal.
yeah,
That's not a you problem. That's like real life coming on interfering with
yeah.
your
Fair.
hobby. So real
Yeah.
real life gets slops on that one.
Yeah, yeah. Like I got
Yeah,
to travel to
yeah,
Nats, and that was awesome. I had a
yeah,
great time
yeah.
there.
Oh, that was fantastic. Yeah, that was great.
And
Yeah,
and that was the one event that I feel like I was actually like prepared for. Like I've been playing that deck for like months. You and I tested it, and like it
yeah,
had always done well. And then I get to Nats, and it's like,
yeah.
nah, I'm taking the day off, and I'm
Nah,
like, okay,
yeah,
all right. And then of
yeah,
course you and I got to
yeah.
play, and it's like, okay, why not, right?
Yeah.
Like,
But we turned it around the following day and went
we
co-national champion
we
teams with like
did,
three other teams. So
yeah,
boom.
yeah, we
Oh
did.
yeah,
I just had to,
so we turned that
had
around.
to make
Yeah.
the audible and just play something that was just, to my point, fun. It's probably not a really
Fun.
good deck, but it
Yeah.
was fun and people didn't know what to
Fun.
do,
Yeah.
so that was good.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But
I would. I want to slap myself for making some minor mistakes in games that I usually don't and when they really matter the most. Like
Mhm.
at Nats, I lost a game because I forgot to EX a back alley. I drew instead of winning, instead
Mhm.
of EXing a back alley haymaker because I was just like, well, I guess it doesn't matter because we're going to draw, but I guess I just send it. And the guy's like, he's like, you're not going to EX it? Well, I can't block it if you didn't EX it, but since you passed, I'm just going to block it. So I'm
Yep.
like, it was a buddy of mine from Omaha, so
Sure.
it wasn't like it was nothing, no hard feelings or
Yeah.
anything. It was just like I was just like, really? He's like, yeah, the math. I was like, oh man. Well, again, I'm not a math person.
Numbers are
I'm a
hard.
field.
Yeah.
I'm a feels player, baby. I play on fields. So, um,
Yeah.
but yeah, so it was just like one of those things, and like meta calls and stuff like that. It's
Sure.
like
Sure.
there were events where I'm like, wow, if I would have just taken overhaul, I would have just swept the event at like the PSC. That it
Yeah.
took me forever to get my stinking invite for some random
I
reason.
forgot about that. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
it
true.
took me a while because I gave Ben Lambright an invite when we went to Iowa
Hmm.
because he wasn't going to be able to play in a lot of events, and I'm like, you can have it, man, because I have like 8 of them I can play in. It took me to like second season to get one, so
Right. Right. Dude, so it
it
actually a great
happens,
segue
man.
because
So,
I had almost even
sure.
forgotten that Nats was invite. Like
Yeah,
I got mine pretty early on. It was like my second
yeah,
one or so that I
I
got to
think
play
so.
in. But with that being said, that is something that I was very like apprehensive about, right? Like I was like, I don't know if this is gonna actually work out, and it ended
Yeah.
up being actually pretty awesome. Like I don't
Hmm.
think the invites really mattered a whole lot.
Mattered.
Yeah.
They didn't matter, which is
So
kind of, I don't know. Like I think
is it
I'm
worth
kind of
doing?
indifferent. Yeah, I'm indifferent on it because like I
Mhm.
don't really. I think prop to make your locals mean more,
Mhm.
but flop for the fact of the matter is that if you were a newer player who started after the invite thing was over, you had to travel the Nats to get an LCQ invite, which people were either selling or trading after
Right.
they won the LCQ. So that was a giant slop. I think that part was mishandled.
Yeah.
But the other part of it, making your locals matter more, I think UVS Games does get a prop making your locals matter more, which seems like
Right.
going into 2024, they are double downing on that one.
Yeah,
So,
and I
that's pretty good.
that's what I was gonna say into like so legitimately like props from making locals matter, right? Like I think professional sport championships were exactly what they wanted it to be. It did exactly what they
Oh,
wanted
we
it to
love. I
do.
think they
The
were a lot
people
of fun.
loved them.
Yeah.
Like I don't ever remember talking to someone who was like, "Oh man, I gotta go play in another one of these." They were like, "Oh, these are pretty cool promos." Like season 1 promos weren't
Yeah.
as great as season
Yeah.
2, but whatever. So like
Yeah.
I think that model works well. And to your point, it looks like they're
Yes.
doubling down on it. So I think that's probably going to be even better. But yeah, I mean, like I would give props there. I would even go so far as to say props to the transition from Jazzco to UVS
Oh,
games this year.
sure.
I
Yeah.
think while it seems like something probably not impactful to most, I think
Oh,
the
it's big.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
huge. It's huge.
Yeah.
And like
Huge.
I think
Yeah.
the from the branding standpoint all the way through the new I want to say like follow up they're trying to do, right? Like the info dump we
Yeah.
got for next year that we covered in the last episode, all that
Mhm.
stuff. Like we've never in the history of ever for this game gotten that kind of a roadmap like that kind of
Yeah.
actual forecast. Now,
Oh,
Yeah.
While your segue on the roadmap is, I'm going to slop them for their video at the beginning of the year that was a roadmap but not roadmap, and I'm going to slop them because I said standard would be a major focus towards the end of the year.
Yeah. Well, to be fair,
One
standard
second,
is the focus moving forward.
I gotta check my I gotta check my calendar. It is December 31st, 2023. We had no standard this year.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so that was a big slop. Granted, it was at the beginning of the year and they had big plans and things happen
Right.
where they have to push stuff off and whatever. But it was just really funny because there's like everyone's like, well, where's the standard stuff coming? Because,
Well,
you know,
spoilers,
but,
standard's coming back.
oh, yeah, we know.
Yeah,
Oh, yes.
yeah.
And the listeners and watchers of the podcast know that the last episode, I went off on all that. That was great. You know, I was so loud, I blew out people's eardrums. I was so excited.
That's right.
But yeah, I would say that was. But to piggyback on the roadmap thing, props to their 2024 roadmap because that thing had dates all the way through July.
Right. Yeah, like having the first half of the year already established with
Yeah.
dates, having all the products lined up except for one, which is a mystery one, so they're either probably working on it or open to pursue
Oh, I
something
have a new
new.
theory on what it is now. So I have another theory.
What's your theory
I do.
now?
Doctor Who.
You think it's Doctor Who? Okay.
It could be. It's sci-fi, and I believe the IP is open for usage because I know Magic's used it and some other. But
Your
I just
Giants theory was the most intriguing theory that I've heard so far. That it's going to be something else that features large creatures or whatever.
yeah. Oh, that okay. Yeah, I get it. Yeah, that thing. Yeah, because
Because then, like the whole back half of the year, they could use one similar like underlying theme throughout all of it. So I don't know if that'll be the case, but I think that's a cool theory.
yeah. Thanks.
Yeah. Props. And then,
Yeah.
But yeah, like I would say what slops. You know, we just gave UVS Games some props, and I feel like there's a lot of them. What slops outside of standard? Any slops?
The UGN site breaking apart at nationals because it couldn't hold a 419 whatever plus event.
Couldn't we just lump that into organized play at nationals in general, right? Like that's kind of a slop.
Yeah, that was a major slop.
Like and again, this is one of those things that it's probably not due to lack of effort from the individuals who are there and working on it. Like I'm not faulting any of those individuals. What I'm saying is that it's more so it's more so just the foresight, like you're saying with the website or any of these other things, to know, like having a clock that's not just at the far end of the thing that no one can see unless you're at the bottom tables where your time doesn't matter because you're at bottom tables. We were there. We know.
We know. Yes, we know.
Like that's not me throwing shade. Like legitimately, like those are the things that are kind of like the slops from that event, right? And for it to be your largest event you've ever had, you don't want that to be the case.
Yeah, exactly. So, like the employees that were there, Jelly, Lenoco, Levi, they really tried their best to do with what they had. The issue was they needed more staff.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think, do we have to have a traveling OP team? Maybe, I don't know, but that's not for my decision to make.
Right.
So,
well, it'll be interesting because like that's kind of a shift. You know, looking at the lineup for next year is like it's fewer big events. So it'll be interesting to see how things transition because like one thing that I would like to see more from the game is there just being more streamed coverage of events, right? Like like I'd love to live in a world where like on any given Saturday I could like turn on a stream of some sort and actually watch high level gameplay, right? I'm not saying we're at that point yet, but like other card games do have that, right? I think we could get to the point where at least once a month or maybe twice a month, you know, every other week, you have this kind of opportunity. You know, other esports do that as well sometimes where they rotate weeks. So,
are we an esport now?
No, I wish if we had a game client, maybe.
Yeah, I think going forward in 2024, there may be enough events that we're going to have once a month. There will be something on streamed. I know a lot of the content creators like Tam, he streams and posts games all the time, you know. So it's like today as recording, he's doing a 24-hour Iron Man thing for New Year's because he's crazy. You're nuts.
Yeah.
That's just crazy. So, but this past year, there wasn't a lot of they streamed a lot of the big stuff, right?
Yeah,
but like growing. Yeah, it's
But
been
I'm saying,
growing.
like,
I
if,
think.
if I were going to try to
Yeah.
get them to do something moving forward, because I get that like running events is expensive, renting out venues, doing all this
Yeah.
sort of stuff. But like, if you can continue to grow the user base, which again, maybe something like a Critical Role is going to do, make this
Yeah.
big influx, then maybe you then have enough people that you can justify it, to where you're getting like a Pokemon or Magic or Yu-Gi-Oh or whatever kind of level event to have a stream, so then people can consistently
Sure.
watch that sort of stuff, and you're not losing money on it because internet at some of these places is ridiculous. Like what they
Yeah.
charge at
Yeah.
venues. So, I don't know. It's that is something that I want to see them continue to explore. Like I feel like
Hmm.
they got casting and like the production element of it down. It's just a matter
Yeah.
of getting enough events to where people can actually like
Oh,
tune in and
can
watch.
can I throw in a snide slop that Zach Richards is gonna probably rant on if he hears about this?
Mm.
They need to fix their brackets when they do their streamed coverage because those brackets don't work.
Oh
Because
yeah, they're
they're
very difficult to
it should be
follow.
it should be stacked like
Yeah,
on top of each other instead of going like this because they
yeah.
have them like
And you should work towards the
yeah
middle. Yeah, like every
yeah
bracket ever outside of our
like,
game.
correct. Every bracket works towards a single
Yes.
point, not
Yes.
yeah. It looks nice, like
Mhm.
like aesthetically it looks nice when you see stuff, but then you just have it the way it's supposed to be.
I mean, like it doesn't. You can have both brackets like I'm on this half, I'm on
Yeah,
this half, and you work towards the
yeah,
middle. It doesn't all have to
but
be
you
on one
have
side and work towards the
yeah,
right. But
but
yeah.
the way they set it up is they don't
Oh yeah.
repair it. They don't repair the
Right.
bracket to actually make it look like they just
Right.
throw it up there and it's just like, well, no, because two should really be here and one should be up here and they should work that way, not two and one on the same side or whatever.
Yeah.
It's just weird. It looks
Yeah.
awkward. But yeah,
It could
please get
improve.
a new get a that's a smidge, just a little nitpick
A new graphic.
makes my that makes my brain explode. It just does. Every time I see that bracket, I just like, why,
Like I
why?
know my brain.
I know, and they work really hard. But yeah,
Yeah.
let's see here. So I want to. I mean, 'cause there's so many more props than there are slops because it used to be the opposite,
Sure.
where we used to slop Jasco all the time because, man, but things have changed under new ownership.
Oh.
But
Ooh.
what?
Props for
Huh.
set releases, product
Oh yeah,
releases.
yeah, yeah. There we go. Because that's a good dovetail. Yeah, because we've had three this year for
Mhm.
sure. Yeah, we had
Yeah.
three. We had 4, 5, and 6.
Yep.
So so props to that.
Yeah. And
Props to getting rid of DLC. I
Brr, brr,
like
brr, brr,
that.
brr. Thank
Thanks
you.
for that and putting it in the set. But I don't know if that's gonna. But I like the. But like I guess we're gonna have to it's yet to be seen if
Mhm.
Challenger Series is better. Obviously, it's already better money wise, but we just
Right.
don't know what otherwise than that. So,
Sure.
because getting a full deck over 2 of each card for basically the same price, thank you.
Right. Well, and,
You
and
know,
also piggybacking on that, props for trying to create new types of products this year, even if they
yeah,
didn't work. Right. Like
yeah.
the
Class reunion box.
the reunion box. Like
Yeah,
I know that a lot of people poo poo on those. I will say they felt really cool to open the first time. They just didn't feel
yeah.
good to open sequential ones, right? And you
It's
had to
really
buy sequential
yeah,
ones, and that felt bad.
yeah,
And they tried to fix that by having the
yeah,
smaller packets, but even that, it didn't quite
yeah.
resonate. So but
Like
they tried. That's cool.
I
Thank you.
I don't know if I want to slop the community or not. But like there were a lot of doomsayers saying like, "Oh man, these mechanically unique promos, they're gonna, what if they break the game? They're so
Hmm.
going to be so expensive." Um, I'm gonna guarantee you go on to TCG player right now, they're all less than $5.
Oh, they're definitely all less than
So
$5. Oh yeah.
no, they're less than $5. So please, it's better just and please, I know I'm probably gonna get some backlash by slopping the community on the doomsayers, but man, like.
They'll
It's just a
just say the
cycle.
end of the universe's academy now, Chris.
It's
Why would you bring this on us?
it's the cycle of this game. Everything's super expensive when it first comes out, and then you wait a month or two, and then you can get it for like pennies.
Dude,
You
yeah,
know?
okay. So with that being
Yeah,
said, like I have
yeah,
a cart right now where I was looking at picking
yeah,
up some ultra rares, and
yeah,
other rares just to finish out sets and all. And it's
yeah,
like no joke, it's like 10 ultra rares and like 15 rares or something, right? To get me like 4X's on a bunch of stuff. And
yeah,
it's like $80.
yeah.
It's
That's
like the
not bad
price of
at
a
all.
box.
Yeah. Oh, it's less than price of a box because boxer's like $100 now. So
Oh man.
you know, Yeah, oh yeah. Oh, I mean, it depends where you get them,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. But
Um,
still, like what I'm getting at is like
yeah, yep,
that's a little bit higher than a lot of them, like
yeah.
because that's like Rabbit Kick's still holding like a $10-15 value, whereas some
Oh,
of the
really? Wow.
yeah, whereas some of the other illustrators are like five, you know. So what I'm getting at is
Yeah,
that I think that's probably fine for the game in general, right? Because you have your people who are the I gotta have it day one, I gotta have it for this event.
yep,
They pay that premium, and then a month or
yep,
two into it, and I think we can thank Chrome Rares for this. So props
yeah,
again for bringing Chrome Rares back, and
yeah,
even further making them characters again. But
yeah.
again, I appreciate that they tried other things. Like that is
Hmm.
something that a lot of companies don't do. They're not willing to do. Is just take
Oh
risk and
yeah.
try things.
To innovate, yeah,
Yeah, yeah, and like you miss 100% of the shots you never take, right? So like if they hadn't tried the reunion kit, they wouldn't know that that sort of product isn't going to be as well received by
yeah.
the community, and that they were going to probably lose money on it, right? But
I think Michael Scott said that, right? Take a
yeah,
100 shot.
yeah. Michael
Yeah, I think he
Scott,
said that. Yeah,
Wayne
yeah, maybe
Gretzky, Michael
Wayne
Jordan. I don't know,
Gretzky. I
someone.
don't know. Yeah, someone
But
said that.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
but I'm glad you got it too.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
but yeah, like I that is probably if I were going to point to like one thing about this year from a
yeah,
buying the product and also just change that the company seems to have made. I think that's a good thing. I don't know who to thank for that specifically at the company,
yeah.
but props to you, UVS Games, for
Oh,
being willing to do that.
I know. Like I got a slop,
Mm-hmm.
and I have to bring it up, but it
Yeah.
was back in January. The
Mm-hmm.
prize wall at the HLC,
Yeah.
garbage.
Oh.
I'm sorry. How do you run out of your how do you run out of the cards that everybody wants? Those season 1 RLE cards. How
Mm-hmm.
do you only bring like 6 of every card? I
Mm.
don't get it. That's a giant. Like there were some neat things.
Mm-hmm.
Also, slop because people who were playing in the HLC events
Mm-hmm.
barely got time to get tickets to go get stuff at. Granted, yes, we got money.
Yeah.
Yes, we got free trip. Blah 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 blah. First world problems. I know,
I
whatever.
want all the
But
things. Yeah.
I
I feel
also
you.
want all the things too. I want
Right.
all the shiny cards. Why don't I get the opportunity? Um, and like the prize wall.
Well,
Granted, they got rid of halfway through the year. They got rid of the prize wall, so
right.
that was fine. But it was a neat
Could
idea.
couldn't we
But
just say
it was
slops for
implemented.
the HLC in general? Like, and I'm not throwing complete shade.
Yeah,
Like, props to
yeah,
Broberg and to everyone who made it and got to compete, to the
yeah,
players.
yeah,
But
yeah.
slops in that way,
Thank you.
like,
Yeah,
like slops in that way.
yeah.
The promos, the little HLC stamp, just being the
Oh
RLE
yeah, that
characters,
was
like
sloppy. Yeah,
that's
that
yeah,
was
that's
bad.
just
Yeah,
come on.
yeah. You
And
can see that they changed that now with the ones they're
yes,
getting this year with the top 32 across the
hmm
back or top 16, which is like that was like I said that to them when we saw those promos. I was like, why couldn't the HLC just be the background? The
yeah,
HLC symbol should have just been the background, and
sure,
then those cards are worth way more.
right.
They're
That you can actually
they're
tell
more
it.
unique. You
Yeah.
could tell it's an HLC card, not by a little 1 millimeter by 1 millimeter
Right.
square.
And like, and I think again, props. You guys have listened. They adjust. They're not stuck in their ways. Like,
Oh
and
yeah,
that's great because
yeah.
that's all you can really ask for from any sort of company is like to listen to your community
Right.
and give the people what they
Yep.
want, which ultimately benefits you the most as a business, right? Because that's how you're going to get more of their money and people are going to be more excited about your stuff. So yeah, like but I do think that the HLC also I will say slaps on not communicating earlier in the year that there was no more money on the line, right? Like people had
Yeah.
speculated it initially, and then people
Yeah.
speculated it heavily, and then you finally confirmed it towards
Yeah.
the end of the year. And like I get, there's probably a lot of reasons that they did that. Maybe they were trying to make money happen again, and it didn't pan out. I don't know. Could be any
Yeah.
number of things, but
Yeah.
like that did feel bad when it finally became definitive, because like you could have just taken that opportunity to just hype up the new prize, which is the greatest prize in gaming of making your own character, and then
Yep.
not just focus on not having money.
Yeah.
And because like there are definitely some players who I've talked to at events who are like, yeah, I'm thinking about stepping away from the game now that there's no money on the line. There are players who
Yeah.
have already stepped away from the game because there's no money on the line, and that's fine. That's their choice, but
Yeah.
you should communicate that earlier just so
Right.
that way everyone knows and we're all on the same page. Like we are the
And I
anomaly in that way. Like there's like a core group of
yeah.
like 500 dudes and players, not specifically dudes, but people
Yeah.
who are
Well,
very
no,
committed.
Dude is a non-gendered term.
Okay,
It
yeah,
is.
well,
It's a non-gendered
but
term.
who
Yeah.
are very committed to this game, and they're going to play
Yeah.
regardless of what the prizes are, because
Yeah.
they it's all
Yeah.
about
They
friendships, and
love
it's
the
about the
game.
experience, they
Yeah.
love the game
Yeah.
mechanics.
Oh yeah.
But
Yeah.
for those other, let's call it, I don't know, majority of your players who are the new ones, that was probably a big appeal, right? Like that's what they got
Yeah. It
into it
was.
for,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
not necessarily because they thought they were going to win this money, but just because that was even an option.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
So I
because
don't know.
a lot of games don't have. I don't know. I don't know. I don't follow a lot of other games, so
Mhm.
I don't know about money elsewhere, but I know product is. Oh, if you're competing at a high level, product means nothing
Right.
because you already have everything.
Correct.
So you have to make sure it's worth it. Like so, this coming HLC
Mm-hmm.
price support, major props because
Looks
it's
great.
across the board 100 times
Unique
better than last year.
chromes. That's
Yeah,
baller.
nuts. Yeah, like
Yeah.
even the top 32 cards, like
Mhm.
the Chaco, the character cards from set 6 that you get for whatever ranking,
Yeah.
whatever bracket you finish in,
Yeah.
that's fantastic. That's something really cool and unique. Unlike the first HLC where you get the reprint of a card everybody else had,
That
you
nobody
know?
wanted
It's
to.
like,
I mean, like that's not true. They were cool the first time, but like after you
they
get
were
your one
cool the
copy, you don't
first
want any
time.
more. You know.
You don't need it anymore. But
Yeah.
but anywho, it was really cool. So I would say OP was more props than slops, but
Yeah.
the slops were kind of big at some point.
Right. They were
So,
at big events, which is not when you want it to
Yeah.
be, right? Like it should have been like,
No,
oh
no.
man, we had a hard time getting our photos sent in for our provincial
Yeah.
championship. Should be like your
Yeah.
slops, not hey, we
Yeah.
didn't have people to run our major events, you know. Eek. So
I want to take a time to shout out. I want to shout out a couple players real quick. Kevin Broberg for winning the HLC. Jose Norono for being God's gift to webcam.
Right.
That man cannot lose on webcam.
yeah.
I
He
also
doesn't
want
lose
to
a lot
shout
in
out.
person, but he definitely cannot
He
lose on
didn't lose.
webcam.
He cannot lose on webcam.
He got
I
that
want to
special
shout out.
Logitech.
I gotta get that camera, man.
I know, right?
Chris Bromley for hosting Unfun Stuff on Fridays, where they had a local webcam event, and so those people
And for
Cam,
successfully running his
Good.
store for a year, you know what I'm
his
saying?
store for a year.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
props, my
Like
man.
that major props, man. And it's just like it's really cool that people in the community, are granted they're great players, they're huge names, but they're likable, friendly people that want to see the game grow, and they actually go out of their way to help people. So it's
Yeah.
it's really cool to see that,
Oh,
So and like I want to take a personal prop and prop my store, Boar's Hat Games, for the greatest store in America. Sorry, everybody, I'm right, you're wrong.
And they have cool play
we are-
mats.
and we have the best play mats locally ever.
Yeah.
So I want to prop my store owners, Stan and Todd, because they are some of the best people I have ever got to play in a store with. They're a player first store. Granted, they want to make money, but they are trying to make it as close as possible to a player first store because they want people on the seats, because what pays your bills? People in the seats and buying cards and stuff.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
props
That's
to
awesome.
that, So yeah. Yes.
Yeah, I still gotta
What's
find
the
a store. That's one of those things to
What's
do.
the? You'll get one. What's the next? What's the next category we can prop and slop? So what we got?
Decks? You
Let's
wanna talk about props?
decks. We
Props
we
and
can
slop.
talk. We can talk about that. I want to slop them for not banning stuff faster.
Oh,
So because
okay, that's
everyone,
fair.
we'll slop that because everyone knew that. Not everybody, but there was a vast majority of people who knew Capture Evildoers was a problem,
Right.
and it probably should have been banned before nationals. So, but they let it ride, which is fine. I mean, it's their game; they can do whatever they
To be
want.
fair, it wasn't in the deck
Yeah.
that won.
To be fair, you're correct.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't.
but, yeah.
That is not validity
Yeah.
for it not
I
needing
know.
to happen.
I know.
But
I know. But
you
back,
know,
but back alley haymaker was so there. So
Oh yeah.
yeah. But like that, there was what other like what else did we lose? What else did we lose this year? In memoriam, where's the Dobby guy? He made an entire video on it.
One with nature.
One with nature should have been banned before the HLC. Should have. Or Giro 2 should have been errated on print. Which
Yeah.
is really weird. It's like, wow. It's like, well, they don't ban characters. They shadow
Right.
ban them by making them bad.
Right.
So
They just break their kneecaps.
yeah,
They send them back
But
out to the dance floor.
it's kind of funny because like you see these cards like Capture Evildoers, like One with nature. Like if those cards were in standard, they wouldn't be like
And one with nature
non
is, isn't
MH.
it? Or no, it's rotated out now, I
Yeah,
guess.
it rotated, but
Yeah.
back then there wasn't as much egregious card draw.
Sure.
Like everything draws a card in this game, so you have this crap just to pitch for it. And same thing with Capture Evildoers. Momentum came easy sometimes, or it wasn't just like, oh, I want to clear my card pool with this. Like you actually had to work the gimmick.
Right.
Like Reese, he had to work a gimmick. Like that's why he wasn't
Good.
we had a retro event. Reese won it because we had a retro event. We had a Old Dogs New Tricks, right? Reese won the event with good punches because why?
Because good punches
Good
are
draws.
nuts.
Good punches are nuts, and it draws a card, so he can filter. He played on 4 and 5 the entire time. He never had to play any higher than a 5. So
Yeah.
card pool clearing is insane. So yes,
Yeah,
we
well,
know this.
And
But yeah.
to your point, like, I mean, card draw is very abundant still in the game. And the thing is, it doesn't seem to be going anywhere. Like, you'll lose some of it with set one rotating, but it's not going to take such a step back. Like, I don't know. I mean, like, you'll lose Destin, you'll lose passing, you'll lose, I don't know, you'll lose a fair amount of like the staple kind of like I had to throw these in decks and draw stuff. So maybe it'll slow down a little bit once standard hits, but yeah, man, I don't know.
I say it just shifts symbols, but it's whatever.
Maybe so.
But
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I think overall, definitely more props and slops for the game.
Yeah, it's really hard. It's really hard to think of a sort of like other than what the slops we talked about.
Yeah.
Which, if anybody wants props and slops in the comments below, please let us know if we missed anything.
Yeah.
Because it's been a crazy year for everybody personally and card game wise and hobby wise. So
It's a long
it's hard to
year.
remember everything.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah, I would like. I don't know, like it. It's really hard to think of slops. It really is.
Yeah, well, and like I said, like, I definitely think there's more good than bad. And I'm sure like, if someone went through and they tallied up the things because we didn't script this, spoilers. But so they would probably tally up that we said more good than bad for sure. And the bad isn't necessarily like nitpicky stuff, but some of it is you know what I'm saying. But like that's preference, right? But then like I'm telling you, man, like the future does look bright, and I know that's like super cliche, and people always say that sort of stuff. But like legitimately knowing that the lineup for the year, knowing some of the titles we have coming to the game, like even though I personally am not super excited about some of the titles coming to the game, not in that way I don't like them, just I'm not familiar with them. Right? But that's fine. I've been playing this game for better part of 2 decades, and there's been plenty of titles along the way that came to the game. At one point in time, they literally introduced Shadow War. All right, I guarantee you, no one in this podcast knows what Shadow War is unless they played this game at the time that Shadow War came out, because it was a made-up IP that company made so they could make a set. All right.
Yeah, I had no idea what it was, and I just assumed as you were saying this that it was just a made up IP for.
Yeah, 100%. So like what I'm getting at is like I don't need to be like a fan like I was of MHA. Like I was super hyped for MHA.
Yeah, it does help though to be the fan. It does help because
it gets you into the game.
Currently, right now, I get to play my favorite character in the entire MHA series, and she's actually very good.
Right.
So that makes playing 100 times more fun.
Yeah. Right. And it gets you into the game. Like Street Fighter got me into the game initially, the cool Udon art promos that they did with like set one.
Oh yeah.
So what I'm getting at is like new titles means that non-MHA fans will find something new to get into the game, and then they may find out they just like the game, and then that just means they stay around and they grow. So I think they're taking the right approach, and I'm very optimistic for 2024. And we'll see how it all shakes out. Like I think the OP stuff should be good, but maybe it doesn't pan out, and maybe they adjust it again. Like I would like to see us get to a point where it's the same from year to year.
Exactly.
But I also want them to get the right system in place.
Correct.
That benefits
I think
the most
that's
people,
the issue.
And then set it and just forget it. You know what I'm saying? Just do it the same thing next year. So
like your bright future comment, that card's bad. But anywho, I think 2024. I guess if we're doing a wrap up, because we've probably been going for like an hour or so right now. So looks good. Excited for all the IPs, probably except for Godzilla, but don't care. Like Matt said, I'm still going to buy the cards because I'm going to need the cards to play them. If they have giant tags, because Mountain Lady is a giant, so I'm going to need them.
Hey-o.
So, but yeah, look forward to 2024 big time because of all I like all the events scheduled. I am cool with that. We're still going to be doing stuff. We're going to still be covering it. I'm still going to be streaming. We're going to be doing all this fun stuff. We're going to have a community, and we're going to have fun.
Yeah, and we're looking forward to moving into 2024 with you guys and growing. Like just continue to expand and doing more with you. And we'll keep you posted on those things as they come along. Thank you for enduring 2023 with us, and we'll see you guys in the future.
Ooh. Hopefully you get this out by tomorrow. Ooh.
Yeah, I'm gonna try. Do all the algorithm things, like, subscribe, comment down below. Let us know your pops and slops. See you
all
guys.
the cards. Cap everything.